all, and we trust that you will be blessed by this seminar, and I pray that as a result of this seminar, it may lead you to the breakthrough that you have been waiting for, looking forward to, or praying about as a family. So we'll press on with the presentation, and the first thing is to look at the sorry, going back one. So we're looking at family financial planning for growing wealth. Family financial planning for growing wealth. And we are not going to grow wealth by accident. There has to be a joined up plan for doing that. And so today we're going to look at some ideas of how that can be achieved and how you can do that. So what are we going to cover? It is basically got to 10 sections, not sessions. Uh, why family financial planning matters. And then 4 approaches and wealth outcomes that are adopted by most families in way they approach their financial management. Having money conversations as a family, as husband and wife. We look at some tools, the 50-30-20 budget, and we're looking at saving smart. And then we collect some wisdom from, people who have looked into this area and scripture, and looking at protection and raising financially wise children. And hopefully you'll leave here with an action plan, or at least with enough information to help you to start a plan for growing wealth as a family. So looking at the foundation first, why financial planning matters, or family financial planning matters, and how couples can begin to work together. There's a cost to finance in a family, and it leads to a lot of financial strain. And how couples handle money actually shapes both the stability of the relationship and the long-term wealth that the family can grow or build together. And the headline news really is that 39% of UK divorces cite financial problems as the primary reason. Communication is number one. And then general dissatisfaction is number two. Number three, financial planning or finance is cited as one of the leading reasons why people divorce. 47% of debt-related divorces cite inability to manage joint finances as a key driver. And then 28% of ages 25 to 34, these are the first divorces, involve financial stress. Younger couples are not immune to the discord that can arise in families due to this single topic of finance. So joint account use fell sharply. So that's when families come together, or a family, a husband and wife come together, and they decide to have a financial vision for their family. And the numbers are reducing, getting less and less. In 2022, 25% had a joint plan, which is already a very, very small number. And now in 2024, the last survey, 10% of people now have joint finances. The rest are separating finances as the norm within a family. Take predominantly four ways of managing money within their relationship. The first one is where they see it as a joint resource for family. So husband brings whatever their pay packet is, their paycheck, and the spouse brings their paycheck, and the funds are considered as a combined resource for the family. So all incomes flow into shared accounts. There's total transparency, joint decisions on every pound, and it works best when values and habits are aligned. But there's a downside or something to watch out with this particular approach. One partner can dominate decisions, and the quieter spouse loses voice. So it's not really agreement. It's more like resigning to the situation that that's how it is. And there is coercive control or even economic or finance abuse. It can lead to that. The second one is yours, mine is mine. And then we find a little room where it is ours. So each partner keeps a personal account, but there's also a joint account. And in that account, we work out all the bills that need to be paid, and we distribute according to what we need to do to meet those bills and the few common goals that you have. And the balance is run autonomously, with each partner deciding what they do with the remaining amount of money. So the mine account, something to watch out for, can become secret spending because all of the other resources that are left after bills are accounted for, each member of the family or each couple then can spend as they want. And it can become secret spending, as I say, hidden purchases, which can erode trust over time. The third one is proportional split. Each couple or each member of the family contributes to joint expenses in proportion to income. This appears fair when earnings differ widely. Both feel the contribution is equitable or equal. But the thing to watch out for in this particular strategy is that it treats marriage as a contract. The lower earner can feel like a junior partner rather than an equal. And we know that God's plan for a marriage is that He wants a helper suitable or equal in some Bible versions, equal to Him. And so you can see another partner who has less financial power becoming the underdog in that relationship. And then the fourth approach that people take is where funds are run fully separate. Each manages their own money. Expenses are divided 50-50 irrespective of the income or by agreement. Independence first is paramount, and it requires very strong communication on big goals because you're not really pulling together on those big goals. Each person is pursuing their own independence. And the key to watch out here is that there is no shared accountability. Couples drift apart financially. The big goals, things like home, retirement, and giving, rarely get funded because everyone is doing their own thing. So these are the four summarized ways in which people within families, and I've counseled many uh, going towards marriage, and this can be a sticky topic to discuss in relationships. And sometimes people still move forward without actually getting agreement. So, how did this pan out in terms of finance outcomes and building a future for wealth or growing wealth? Well, if it's a strongly, fully combined, it sort of gives you an upper hand because why it wins is that fewer financial problems because everything is discussed and everything is accounted for. There's coordinated planning and coordinated saving and investment. There's full transparency between members of the family, and it's the highest long-term strategy for growing wealth. When it comes to yours, mine, and ours, why it works, 61% of UK couple use this method. 92% feel it is fair because I'm left with freedom to operate the way I want within a marriage. Independence, but we come together on joint goals. And so I can pursue my goals while the other person pursues their goals. And it results in low conflict. It can also lead to strong outcomes, but it's not the optimum. Proportional split is fair when incomes differ, reduces resentment, because everyone pays an equal proportion or portion. Needs clear bill tracking. Wealth creation then depends on coordination. And then separate, the separate one is the weakest one in terms of growing wealth because things to watch out for is raise rising among younger couples is becoming the predominant. Everyone wants to be in a marriage but still be independent. Uncoordinated planning, sometimes we're duplicating expenses, and then there's missed joint saving. And the real thing here that underlies all of these strategies and approaches, the real driver is that the key to growing wealth is open communication about money. It predicts better outcomes. Regardless of which structure you choose, communication is going to be key, which means there has to be a joined up view as to where you are headed as a family. What is the financial vision that you have for the family? So this is why financial planning matters. First of all, it helps when it's create a shared vision where planning aligns with the family on a single direction. No surprises, no working at cross purposes. There is a purpose. The Bible says, I'll find a helper suitable for you. Adam had to have his mandate or his purpose, and then God brings a helper suitable for him. So there is one direction in which the family is working towards. There is a vision. So the key question as you're listening to me right now, as a couple, as a family, do you have a vision of what you want your financial future to look like? And unless you have a joined up vision, then you are already diminishing the resources that could be coordinated or pulled together in order to accelerate building or growing wealth for the future. It also, financial planning for the family matters because it reduces anxiety. Money is the number one source of marital stress. A plan replaces worry with transparency, confidence, and clarity. So we remove it, take it off the table as a source of anxiety or stressor. And then this is where I want us all to move towards. It helps you to build or to grow wealth. Intentional joint saving and investing compounds even more or faster over the years into real lasting family security when you have a joined up plan. If one person is pulling in one direction and the other is pulling in another direction, you're not likely to achieve the level of momentum that you would otherwise achieve. And then, of course, if it's done well, and with all the other principles that we've been talking about over the last 6 weeks, you would leave a legacy. Generational wealth begins with the habits and the values you build into your family, and your children observe you as husband and wife or as a partnership working together, and those good habits will rub off onto them. But more than that, you will have a legacy left to pass on to, hopefully not them, but to the next generation. That's what the Bible says. You should be looking to pass a legacy to your grandchildren, not your children, because you've had the opportunity to teach them and coach them into growing their own wealth. But just in case they don't replicate that, you pass it on to the next generation. So this calls then for making financial conversation a norm uh, in the family, and where you should schedule a money date or investment date where there are no distractions, no blame, just to get clarity as to where things are. Wherever things are cannot be solved by hiding them or by sweeping them under the carpet. It's got to be brought to the surface so that you can know where to start to build. And starting where you start might require you to recover some ground, pay off those debts, cut off those credit cards, and build an emergency fund, and then start saving. So in those conversations, where would you start? The best place to start is always with values, not numbers. The numbers actually speak to the values. The values are the ones that are going to drive your attitude and what you bring into the relationship. So you have to be of one accord or together when it comes to the values. What values do you want to uphold and to um, create within the family? What does enough look like for our family? What do we actually want to achieve? Be honest about debt and your fears. Hidden money issues quietly poison trust. Agree on goals, short, medium, and long. Write them down and review them together regularly. A plan is no good if you write it down and you file it away in your library. Your plan should always be at hand to be reviewed on a regular basis to see whether you're winning or you're losing and what adjustments you need to make. Listen first, plan second. Money behavior is shaped by our childhood because two people coming into a relationship have come from different households. There are tales and there are stories and there are conversations about money that are shaped by your childhood. And it will take, some open, transparent conversation for you as a couple to start creating your own new narrative for your family, which is different from where you might have grown up and how you might have grown up. And that might take some doing. Pray together over money decisions. Invite wisdom and humility into the room as you discuss money issues and investment plans for your family. So, and then use everyday opportunities. Deuteronomy 6 tells us to use every opportunity with our children to teach them spiritual things. So teach by showing, not telling, as a family. Make money a regular topic, not a secret one. So what does that mean? Or how could that happen? So at the dinner table, share one financial decision that you've made that week. This week, we chose the cheaper holiday so we could give more to church or to whatever charity. Show the trade-off, not just the outcome, because normally decisions of finances are prioritization. When a bill arrives, no matter what color it is, open it together. Walk through what the electricity, the food shop, or the council tax actually costs. Mystery breeds anxiety. Transparency builds confidence. And sometimes our children think money grows from on trees. They've got no real concept of the bills that money actually has to go out in order to have electricity in the house, in order to have water in the house. So by showing them the red letters, God forbid that you come to that, you are teaching them the reality and the responsibility that comes with consumption of certain items. When they ask, can we afford it? Sorry, when they ask, can we afford it? Answer honestly every time. Yes, but it's not how we want to use our money. It teaches about values, those values that I talked about. If something is misaligned to the values that you have determined as a family, then you should not be investing your money in those things that are contrary to your values. No, not right now. It teaches them about timing and priorities. Both are good answers. At the end of the month, show and give them pay slip. Let them see how your household actually did, not what you planned. Real numbers normalize budgeting and model stewardship. So where you have missed on a particular target, talk about it. And the wisdom here is that what is spoken about at home becomes thought about in life. I'll repeat that. What is spoken about at home becomes thought about in life. That's why we always say, when I was young, my father used to say this, or my mother used to say this, or do this, etc., because we had those things being said over and over again. So what are some of the practical tools that we have been talking about so far? The primary tool for managing family finance is a budget. Now, what we've shared here, what I've shared with you, or we've shared in the last 6 seminars, is a rule that came from Senator Elizabeth Warren. But you can change this formula. The main thing is not the numbers. The main thing is the discipline associated with keeping to the budget. So this budget suggests 50% of your income. So this could be the total income of the family. Or each person's wallet is divided. 50% should go towards meeting household, the necessary expenses of the family: housing, bills, food, utilities, transport, insurance, and maybe removing some debts that have accumulated. 30% for, you have to maintain a lifestyle. Dining out, holidays, hobbies, streaming, lifestyle upgrades, or whatever it is, fits into the 30%. And then 20% of that, you don't touch it, is going towards saving or giving. or that's where your emergency fund, you start with that 20% to build your 6 months to a year emergency fund. And that's what you invest in your ISAs, into your pension, into initially paying off debt. And for those of you like me who believe in tithing, you tithe from that 10%, and whatever gifts you give from that 10%. So the key thing is that the family sticks to a formula. You can change this and break it into four or whatever. You might think that 30% is too much, in which case it might go to the 50% and you leave that with 20-20. That's how you discuss. That's part of the conversation. But as a discipline, every month you must be working towards growing lasting wealth for the family through savings, which we talked about over the last 6 weeks. And those savings have got to be wrapped in tax, have a tax wrapper on it so that you compound or you accelerate the growth because the taxman is not going to get their hands on it because they've allowed through those rules, ISA, LISA, Junior ISA, and Life ISA, and all of those, and the SIP pensions, all of those wrap whatever you invest. And then, of course, we talked about diversifying. So that's your tool number one as a family. Once you've agreed your vision and where you're going and what your priorities are, then you have to have a control tool that you stick to. So how this 50% can be divided, it will depend on the discipline or the method you have chosen as a family. If you choose number one, where everything is joined up, so this would be the total pot that is divided. And then as a family, husband and wife, you share the 30% for discretionary spending, if you like, between the two of you. 50% of your total income goes towards your necessary household bills. And if that exceeds your household bills, then you might put more in the last quadrant or last square, where you increase what you save above 20%. Martin Lewis, as I say, the next thing is an ISA or any tax wrapper. You should not be keeping your cash in the bank. You should be keeping or investing your cash or saving your cash in such a way that it grows and it multiplies. And there are so many allowances also that are there by the taxman to accelerate your financial growth or your capacity to build wealth. So 20,000 a year per adult is allowed to be put in an ISA. So across cash, stocks, and shares, innovative finance and life ISAs combined. So you can put up to 20,000. A life ISA literally gives you 25%. It accelerates your investment into your future by 25%. So if you put 100, the government actually puts 125 into whatever you're saving. And very few investments return an outcome of that magnitude. So by doing that and taking advantage of the government, we're going to talk more about that next week. The money that we all leave on the table when it's there for us to take. That would be the subject for next week. Junior ISAs. So if you're really pulling together as a family, as I say, if the 50% of the joint income is in excess of what you need for your lifestyle that you have chosen, it means you can invest in a junior ISA for your child per year as a husband or wife, 20,000, and your children in addition you could be putting up to 9,000 in an on an ISA for your child. So we're already talking about 29. Of course, I know not all of us, or maybe not even one of us, has the capacity on this platform to put 29,000 or, and that's per child is not limited to the number of children. And if you put that over 60 years compounding from starting from birth, that's a tidy sum that you're passing on to um, your next generation. And the key thing here with these ISAs and these tax wrappers is that they're not here forever. So if you don't take advantage of it, you can't claim back the following year what you missed out in the previous year. So those are some of the vehicles for increasing wealth. There could be a situation where your partner is earning below the tax threshold, and 252 a year can be claimed for the last 4 years. This is free money. Most couples never claim. So the lower earning spouse transfers 1,260 of unused personal allowance to the higher earner. And this saves 252 a year. If you don't want it, well, claim it and put it into an investment um, for the family. And only people who are married or are in a civil partnership can claim this tax. And you just go to .gov.uk, and the advice from Martin Lewis is don't go to a third party to claim for this because you are diminishing what you can then save for your family. It's a straightforward process. So what does the scripture or those people who are wise say about? I like this particular one from Dave Ramsey. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So some of us finish the year and we are wondering, where did my salary go? What happened to my money? It means you're not using the budget. The budget is the instrument or the tool that should be telling your money where to go. And you should not be wondering where it went at the end of the month. So start with £1,000 emergency fund, attack debt, smallest first, then build a fully funded 3 to 6 months to a year reserve before investing. She suggests, or he suggests 15% of income for the long term. The budget is a tool that you must use to gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. Use the budget to gain control over your money, or the lack of control will forever control you. Suzman, or Suz Oman, people first, then money, then things. So Oman urges families to build, as I say, 12 months emergency fund, to write a will. So her approach is think of people first before things. Emergency fund protects your family from the stress. Writing a will protects your family after you've gone. A power of attorney protects you while you are still alive and you've lost capacity to advocate for yourself. And protect dependents with term life insurance before chasing investment returns. So it is important that you have the right insurances. Remember what we said. You need to, one, get rid of debt, Secondly, build an emergency fund. Thirdly, you protect your family. And then fourthly, you start investing. So see this as a pipeline or as a path towards investing. Because if you invest when you don't have an emergency, when an emergency comes, you cash in what you have invested at the wrong time and you make a loss and you begin to chase your tail. So all of those steps are critical and important. And we talked right from the beginning when it comes to investing, the oldest wisdom that was there before diversification became a management guru's topic. It says invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. So do not place all your income in one job, one bank, one asset. The bank will protect 120K. But if you've got several accounts with that level of money, they will only protect 120K, and that's it. Don't invest in one asset class, or one country. Spread your savings across cash, investments, asset classes, property, and invest in skills development as well. So spread the risk and spread the opportunity. And then, of course, we know Matthew 25:27. It says, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So burying money under the mattress is rebuked. And the mattress today is equivalent to your zero interest current account or 1% savings account. We said those are good for your emergency fund, but not more than that. So once you've decided what your emergency fund is and what amount is, no money should grace that bank, because what they're doing, the bank is taking that money and investing it and making a big return on your loss because you decided to keep that level of amount in the bank. Invest though with prudence and let compound interest do the multiplying God designed it to do. And God commended those who He invested the money and they put it to good use. Yes, and sometimes in building wealth, we are, could be drawn to taking shortcuts. And the Bible again warns us very clearly. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. So avoid get rich quick schemes. Avoid gambling and shortcuts. Real wealth is gathered through patience, discipline, and integrity over decades. So build wealth slowly. Just be patient. Remember, we said one of the ingredients of investing is the time window. Are you looking at 5-year, 10-year, 20-year? And those will determine the strategy you use and the asset classes you invest in. And so you need to be clear on what time window you are investing in order to allow the money to grow. And of course, your appetite to risk. It will be very risky to invest in high risk assets towards your retirement. So you need to, de-risk as you move towards retirement. And then, of course, to remain humble at all times. So these are some of the strategies that you can. I'm just wrapping up here, looking at what we have covered, but putting it in the context of a family, how a couple can start working, inculcating good financial management and good habits in their children which we'll do in detail. So I'm inviting you from 2 weeks' time to come back onto this session because we will be talking about how to raise money-wise, wealth-wise children or young people. That is the focus in 2 sessions. We'll do it in part 1 and in part 2. So here it's not how much you make, however, it's how much you keep and you pass on. So sometimes we make money, but we can't keep it. Growing wealth is half the work. Protecting it is the other half. So emergency fund, we've already talked about that. That's one of the keys for protecting your investment because that helps you to not to cash in your investments at the wrong time just because you are hard up and life circumstances have turned up against you. But if you've got an emergency pound, you can weather the storm for 3 to 6 months or even a year. Life and income protection, that is very important. Income protection in particular, as we move into the AI age, no one's job is secure. So it is important that you have income protection, term life cover, critical illness. Somebody had income protection, but they didn't have critical illness. So you need to make sure that you get critical illness cover and income protection insurance. All of those are important. You need to write a will because if you die intestate, that is without a will, the government then directs how your estate is used. That's not wisdom. And one of the ones I had a particular challenges with when my daughter was young, our daughter was young, is choosing guardians for your children. You are not in control of your life. So in the interest of your children, you need to choose a guardian and set out your wishes for those children. And then you review every 3 to 5 years your will as it needs to be done because life circumstances change. Your executors might have preceded you. Your children might have grown up and no longer need a guardian. And so your will needs to keep in step with what is happening in your life. Diversify. Never put all your savings into one company, one sector, or one asset. Guard against debt creep because if you're trying to save and you are incurring debts, it's like you're carrying a bucket full of holes. You're trying to fill it with water. It's only you who's going to get wet, but you're not going to get anywhere. So you need to close the holes first and then put some water in. So it's about the skill of keeping it in as much as it is about growing the wealth. So we'll talk about this one in more detail next week. So I'll skip that one about raising financially wise children. So what could the action plan you could take away so we can have questions? So as you're looking at this particular, by next Tuesday, I meant next Tuesday, small steps, real momentum. Um, how about booking a money date or investment date with your partner, with your wife or with your spouse? Pick a time, no phones, no children, in the room and just work out on those values and discuss the vision you have for your family financially and otherwise and really start putting a plan down together. Write it down. Just don't just verbalize it. It needs to be written down. List every account, current account, savings account, ISAs, pensions, debts, everything in one document. And one good document that we shared with you last week is the questionnaire for a will, because it will require all of that information so that there is clarity, and where there's duplication, you can eliminate duplication, etc. Track 1 week of spending. You need to find out where the leaks are in your spending. I remember watching a TV documentary. They were calling them the secret uh, eaters, let's put it that way. These people were gaining weight and they didn't think they were eating too much. And so they put cameras to follow them everywhere they went. And they were stopping by the train station buying some chocolates. At lunchtime, they were going out buying some high sugar drinks, and then coming home at night or the train station, they will be doing the same. And while they're watching TV, they had a packet of rich cream biscuits, and they were eating away. And when they showed them that clip, they were amazed actually what they thought their lifestyle was and the reality were not aligned at all. So you do that by keeping an accurate record of every coffee, every grocery shop, etc., etc. You might find that there are some major, major leaks in your attempt to grow wealth. Set up an emergency fund. Yes, 6 to 1 year. It's got to be an easy access account. And you need to start doing that as soon as possible. Name three family financial goals. One short, one medium, one long, and agree on each one together because you need to move forward on one accord, pulling together, going in one direction with these schemes or with these plans. So in the months ahead, the longer goals, the ones that grow real family wealth, build 3 months emergency fund, open or top up your ISA, check the marriage allowance, that whether you've been maximizing all the tax benefits that you can claim. That is going to be the topic for next week. So don't miss it. I've got so many ideas, and so much information about money that we are leaving on the table. Write or update your will, open a junior ISA per child, review your pension contributions to see whether you are maximizing the opportunity for a full employer match. If not, you are leaving free money on the table. So that's what I wanted us to cover this evening. And I leave you with this quote from Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Plan well, live generously, and pass it on. So that's what I wanted us to cover tonight, and I'm now going to take any questions that you may have.